Bush this morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Open this meeting of the Public Works Services Committee, Tuesday, April 26, 2016, here at Evans Government Center Auditorium, Building A. Thank y'all for coming this morning. We'll change up our invocation a little bit. I'm sure you're aware I've had some difficult days in our part of the county. Not only do we have a young man from Greenwood High School life at Lake over the weekend, but we had a real tragedy up in the King Villa and Rosemont. Several people that senselessly murdered. Would like to open with just a moment of silence, respect, and honor the memory of those people, and then I'm going to ask Mr. Out with me.
Lord, come to you and we thank you and we praise you for who you are. And Lord, we come in a time that hurting community. Just ask you to be with these people as process. Lord, I want to lift up families of Roosevelt Burns, May Dent, Clark, Izzy Williams, Wayne Halls, Robert Ballard, life swing. Lord, we don't understand. Hear of this stuff in all different parts of the country, but don't expect it to happen in our neck of the woods. Lord, we just ask you to be with us. Heal these people like the springtime of the year. Ask for new beginnings. May go forward. Struggle for a long time, but just all these things. Pray in your prayer.
Amen.
Please stand for the pledge.
To the flag of the United States of America, the republic for which it stands, one nation, God, visible, liberty, justice for all.
Okay, thank you. We have a full quorum this morning. Should have in your notebook, gentlemen, draft copy of the previous meeting, March 22nd. Got a chance to look through that and are pleased with it. The way it's written, we'll take a motion to approve.
So move.
Second. Stands as written. The agenda this morning, Johnson, are we go?
We are on this one, Mr. Chairman.
Presentation this morning. How would it be best? We have a young lady here that would like to speak to an issue. Be the time to do that presentation.
That's your call, Mr. Chairman, but I believe so. I believe it would be very appropriate.
Okay. Ms. Perez, if you'll come to the podium, please. Don't be intimidated. We don't bark, we don't bite.
Okay.
And please tell us your name again and your address.
Okay, my name's Cynthia Perez. I live with my husband Gary at 5906 Rockford Drive in Grovetown.
Okay.
All
Have
right.
the floor.
Got my timer here so I won't go over. Okay. Rockford Drive has approximately 30 residences and is roughly 1.2 miles long. There are 3 25-mile-an-hour speed limit signs on that mile-long road. We've lived in Augusta for 31 years, since 1985. We have 6 grown children and 20 grandchildren. We had a home built in early 2013 on Rockford Drive, designed with an adjoining apartment for my aging parents. My mother's had Parkinson's for over 20 years. My dad is pretty much deaf with some heart issues. We wanted to take care of them. Like all the other residents on the road, we love the outdoors. My father loves the outdoors. People love to take walks. He loves to take walks. I love to take walks with grandchildren. That's one of the reasons we chose Rockford Drive. We became concerned about the traffic on our road even before moving into our new home. The entire road is quite hilly. It's very difficult to maintain a set speed. And our house sits at the midpoint of a long hill, one of several long hills. There's government vehicles, school buses are notorious, mail trucks, UPS, FedEx, everything. They drive very, very fast, and of course the residents' vehicles. There's golf carts driven by children that go up and down the road all the time. It's also a pass-through road. As we met more of our neighbors, it was evident that many of them shared our concern. Many were also elderly and didn't dare venture to take a leisurely stroll or walk their dogs because of the fear of speeding vehicles, which were often not even visible due to the hilly terrain. I know I'm apprehensive when I try to take a grandchild for a walk. We walk single file, and sometimes I even ask the teenagers to hold my hand. I was told that sometimes the installation of speed humps can create tension among the residents. So in preparation for this morning, I was able to speak with 12 of the residents of Rockford Drive. Every resident I spoke to, this surprised even me, indicated that they would be grateful for the installation of speed humps on our street. I also want to note that I did find out from someone involved in the project that a 16-acre parcel of land on one end of Rockford Drive near Huntington is being developed into a multi-home ministry center for female victims of sex trafficking, and is going to bring quite a few more family units. I think they're talking about building 8 homes, mostly single mothers and their children, onto Rockford Drive. In fact, they said they're supposed to have in the first week of June about 40 people converging there to begin construction of those homes. I'm going to just briefly go through the residents that I spoke to along with their quotes and my comments. Don and Kathy Halter. Don is 73. Kathy and Don often go for walks, have told me of their concern for their safety due to speeding vehicles. Billy and Judy Bridges. Billy's 74. Judy, quote, this is her quote, "The school bus goes so fast that even when I'm standing in my driveway waiting for my grandson, the driver can't stop soon enough and has to back up." Greg and Angie Myers. Greg told me, "I'm all for it. They've got to do something." Tony Curd. Ann Calney, she's 69. Jeannie Smith, with her 4 grandchildren and her elderly mother. John Calney and his girlfriend, they walk their dog on the road regularly. John told me, "I'm all for getting speed humps. They can put one in front of my house and engrave my name on it if they'd like." Charles and Donna Crawley. Robert and Keisha Keynes, they're our neighbors directly. Elderly couple lives on their property also. Betty Detweiler, our other neighbor, and her granddaughter Jessie. Betty is a senior. She's also disabled. I was unable to speak with 3 elderly residents. I've seen them. I know they're elderly. But one had a big dog barking at the gate, and one wasn't home. They have they're seniors, and they also have a 92-year-old mother-in-law. Okay, gotta hurry. Another one has a sign on the door saying they're on oxygen, but I don't know how old they are. 8 out of the 12 residents I talked to are seniors, not including those at our home. So I'm requesting that an exception to the traffic volume requirement be made for Rockford Drive due to the winding and hilly nature of the road and the exceptional danger due to speeding vehicles, including government vehicles, school buses, etc., and that these speed humps be installed for the safety of the residents and drivers who live there. Thank you.
Thank you. Have any questions?
I know we have the policy and what it is, but I did go out and look, study, and it is a road you can find yourself easy faster than.
Yeah, I have to, when I leave my driveway, I have learned to say 25, 25, 25, because it's very easy.
Is the only problem with this the number of cars?
Yes, sir. We've done multiple studies. Every one of the studies we've done, it falls short of meeting the volume requirements. Most of them do reach the minimum speed requirement. We do have one study that did not meet that speed requirement. I'm sorry, 2 studies, but that's when we were trying to get our volumes up. We put our counters as far at the end of the road as we could, so you were actually approaching a stop sign, so the speeds came down. So when we tested the typical section of the road, the speeds were there, the volumes were not. Our highest volume that we did record was 184 vehicles. Policy requires 250 per day. We're about 70, 65 vehicles short of meeting the minimum requirement on our best study.
Mr. Chairman, we've discussed this a good bit, in the past week or so, not only with this situation, but another. And as I expressed to both of you earlier, my concern is a threshold, the proper criteria to do this. I mean, if you got a dozen people that drive and all of them speed and are a safety hazard, is that enough? Or is 3 enough? Or is 1 enough? Or is 250 seems like a pretty large number to have to comply with in order to be able to enforce the safety aspect of the traffic laws that we are responsible for?
Just to kind of throw some other numbers at you, if the very first study we did, it showed that 85% of the vehicles on the road were speeding. The second one we did showed that around 50% of the vehicles on the road were speeding. And again, these were all placed in different locations, trying to get different numbers, different counts. And I did provide you with a map and a location. I'll be happy to give it to you when we're done.
Thank you.
Have it with you. So, and I agree. I've been out there. It is an easy road to speed on.
I have one more question. Andrew, have you heard anything about what Ms. Perez was talking about at the end? Is it zoned that somebody could do the type facility that she?
One of the only reason I brought that up, a neighbor told me about that, but I wasn't going to include it. But when I rode over to there's 2 entrances to this property. One is on Rockford, one is on Huntington. And I drove in my canvassing yesterday around to Huntington. Very nice house back there that's new, that belongs to a woman who has been familiar with this ministry called iCare and has worked with it before. And she told me that she had purchased 10 acres in order that they would be able to afford to do this. They were going to be beginning construction. So I'm not sure the dynamics of it, but it's the zoning. That's what I thought, is it's a residential street. But these are going to be residences. I think they're going to be constructed as such. They're going to be homes for these people to live in. Something else I did not mention that I should have, I'm sorry, I know my time's way up, but we're on this street. This is the first time we've lived somewhere where all the mailboxes are on one side of the street. Which, of course, is across the street from us. So my father every day goes out either in his little power chair or walking, and he's deaf, to get the mail. I can't keep him from getting the mail. And just watch out the window, just terrified that something's going to come. Anyway, thank you so much.
And I'd like to comment, I think there are at least 2 factors in my mind. What Ed is, that she brought up is pass-through road, not a dead-end road. Potentially cutting through for whatever reason, typically cutting through in a hurry. And the other thing is the lay of the road. I've driven the road. Apply the same criteria every road. I'm not sure that's apples. Country road, paved, very hilly, windy, although it's not that long. I wasn't able to go down just with my foot off the accelerator. So going beyond this, I would ask consider some of the threshold that Mr. Cross mentioned.
Mr. Chairman, if you agree, I make the motion that we pass this on to the full board as a debate item, as a request for a variance. Then in addition, ask the staff to study the minimum threshold at the same time.
I'd second that.
So we will pass this on to the full board, which will be next Tuesday night. Welcome to attend if you'd like to, and other 2.
Will I be needing to speak again?
We won't charge you.
So I can prepare.
Well, I chair that particular board, and you're welcome to come back.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much. I
Thank
appreciate
you.
Close comment.
Ms. Perez, it's been a pleasure talking to you on the phone and working through the process. Thank you so much for your presentation this morning. Have anyone else that has a presentation this morning? We do have one item on the consent agenda, Mr. Clayton, a water utility issue, a quit claim deed acceptance, sewer right-of-way easement, H. Real LLC. Questions about that?
Move for approval.
I'll second.
So it stands approved. Now we move to our debate agenda and stay with Mr. Clayton with water utility, hydraulic excavator purchase.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. In accordance with the Florida Sheriff's Corporative, Columbia County has received a quote for a hydraulic excavator in the amount of $180,713.03. I think they could have knocked that off, but be that as it may.
For penny counts.
Yes. Low quote, which specs was submitted by Flint Construction of Grovetown. This machine will be used by our special projects team for repair of both sewer and water mains that have been exposed by creek erosions. In addition, this equipment can also be used to install various water lines. And we would recommend approval of this purchase of this excavator.
Move for consent.
I'll second with a question.
Okay.
I think we just approved this Florida,
Just
you know,
last meeting.
so this price came through the Florida thing. We wouldn't have gotten this price if we'd have went through our local.
No,
It's
so
right down the road.
this is a corporative. These bids were taken competitively in Florida, and so we're able to piggyback off of that. We've included some other quotes in here from some different manufacturers for Georgia state prices. But this is a $300,000 piece of equipment, or 180 that's a good deal.
This boy here's a hoss too, isn't it?
Yes, this is a big machine. This is what is a 245.
Well, I
big
guess
machine.
it's
Takes-
obvious that what we did to tie in with the Florida thing is going to be beneficial, huh?
No question about it. Especially where heavy equipment is involved.
Very good. So we've had a move to consent agenda. Very good, Mr. Clayton, thank you. And we continue.
Have an engineering proposal from Cranston for Wingate tributaries aerial sewer crossing. Again, this is one of these aerial sewer crossings that we have out in the county that has become degraded over the years. And it's from Cranston for the removal and a replacement of an existing aerial sewer at the Wingate tributary. Their fee is a lump sum fee of $19,985, and we recommend approval.
Move for consent.
I'll second.
Okay, we move that forward. Consent agenda. Next.
This next item is, Mr. Herring, who lives in Silver Lake, has contacted me, and he's fixing to, he bought, I think it's like an 18-acre tract there, and fixing to build on that lot, and he was wanting to try to get to sewer. There is a sewer over in Woodbridge that he could tie to, but his elevations are so close, we can't gravity into it. So I told him his only other option would be to force main into it, and that would require him to have a little private force main from his property over to that sewer, which includes going under Silver Lake Drive, which is a county road. I've talked with Deputy Slaughter about it, and he is in agreement with me that if the man places it 4 foot deep, encases it from right-of-way to right-of-way, that would limit, and he's also gonna have to sign an encroachment agreement that says if it's ever torn up or anything, it's his responsibility to fix. But we wanted to kind of, because it is encroaching on the county right-of-way, we wanted to kind of bring this before the board and kind of get their blessing on it before we start doing all the paperwork necessary for the encroachment agreement. I would recommend approval.
What's the pleasure?
Move for consent.
I'll second.
And just clarification, Mr. Clayton, he agrees to that, but what if he sells the property?
Oh, it would be recorded on his deed. The encroachment agreement gets recorded on his deed and would have to be included in discovery at a sale. Now, he still has got to get some private easements, and that's up to him to do, but he's willing to follow that path.
I'm glad we were able to help him out as long as he meets our standards. So that moves for consent. Change order?
And change order number 3 to Maxfoot Construction Company in the amount of $89,853 for various field changes on this construction, and an additional of 120 days. This was a long contract. This was a 2-year contract. Obviously, a lot of rain happened in this period. They're definitely due the extension. Change order will increase the amount of the contract from $20,818,784 to $20,908,637. We've had 3 change orders out there to date that amounts to 1.5% of the original bid on the construction cost. Excellent for this complex of a project. I would have expected anywhere from a 5 to a 7% change. We probably got one more coming. I don't anticipate it being a big one. So we would recommend approval.
Yeah.
Second.
Okay, we move that on. Consent agenda. Thank you, Mr. Clayton. Development Engineering Services. Yeah,
Yes, sir. First one will be for engineering service proposal with Cranston Engineering for $68,352.50. This will be to modify and do pedestrian and roadway improvements along Evans Town Center Boulevard for the Evans Plaza development. Provide some cohesion between that and Evans Town Center Park. Staff recommends approval.
Move for consent.
I'll second.
moves to consent, and I'm getting more and more excited every day about the plaza over there. Good job.
It's going to be a beautiful development, something we'll be real proud of. Next one will be for a traffic signal application for Lewiston Road at Bluegrass Trail, Autumn Trail. This is in conjunction with the Kroger development over there. We've had several meetings with Georgia DOT as well as the developer negotiating the signal warrants. The intersection meets the warrants, come up with the proper design, and we have to sign the application given that it's on the Georgia DOT roadway. We have to agree to maintain it. Pretty much a pass-through.
Okay.
Consent with a question.
Second with a question also.
This is the same intersection where B and C didn't think they were going to be able to get a red light, so they went away from moving the road that originally approved, correct?
It's the same intersection, yes, sir. The Autumn Trail, Bluegrass.
So what changed now that we didn't think the light would be able to be installed, and now we think it can be?
There was some issues with sight distance that were brought up, and I believe Steve got out there and actually showed the engineer that it could be met. A couple things you worked through.
Yeah, there was some safety issues with it, with the grade of Autumn Trail coming up, and whether somebody could make that left safely with somebody coming across. Plus, it met the volume warrants as we looked at it and dealt with their engineer as well as with the district engineer with DOT, and they agree that it's warranted, especially as we increase the traffic on there as development comes.
But I believe part of that was before we rerouted William Few, they were going to lose the red light at the existing location.
That was the
Right.
issue. They
So
were going to lose
decided
that
to run
light.
William Few on straight
Right.
and take their chances on the other one.
That was right.
Okay.
And my question, what have we heard on the opening date for the Kroger? Anything?
They did tell me that it was in August 17th, I believe, is what they're shooting for. And with that being said, until this is signed, GDOT will not give them their encroachment permit. So if we were to sign this today, it would buy them an additional week of work time. But if we're happy to wait till next Tuesday when full commission approves as well, just to throw that out to you.
Well, we can authorize me to sign that with 3 votes if you're so inclined, Mr. Chairman.
I think if it would help the question, certainly.
I'm totally in agreement with that.
We'll do that today then.
Thank you, sir.
Johnson? Kosher?
That's what the three of you decide, absolutely. It is kosher,
That's
yes.
what we decided.
Then it's kosher.
We are the kosher determinators here.
That's exactly right. No, thank you. Yeah, you can.
So the actual item still is considered part of consent, but we're acting on it.
I think I would pass it through to the consent agenda, but I think you're authorizing the chairman to go ahead and sign that documentation today.
I'll make a motion to move to consent, giving the chairman authorization to go ahead and sign.
Second.
I mean, it's consented. That's a
We
second.
good.
Well,
Patrice said, get on with it. We got it.
okay. I think that takes care of that area. Anything added? Address?
Yes.
Legal matters? Morning, Mr. Driver. Water utility, you have a staff report?
Yeah, so just for your information, our budget report is like it's right where it needs to be. I've noticed that our income has kind of come level with what's anticipated for this year. However, we are approaching our Christmas.
Yeah.
So we hope to see a little bit of improvement in on that.
Yeah.
I have started buying my presents for you already.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
Well, I got plenty of water out where I am.
We're gonna see if we can't resolve.
Springs are just flowing. All this rain, see, it helps me. Kind of hurt.
I'm one of those early buyers, Mr. Clayton. I bought mine last month.
I appreciate it so much.
Okay, well, thank you for that.
On our construction report, you'll see in the red the movement we've had on those projects. Have been told that I can anticipate I think it was about a $80,000 increase in our costs on the Keg Creek Bridge. But when we signed a memorandum of understanding, we said that we would pay whatever it takes to accomplish that. But I'll bring you that information. Anything you don't see movement in here, you pretty much chalk up to some environmental issues at some point in time, dealing with the clearances for those.
You know what the timeline is on that? Maybe Matt does?
I do not. I know
Keg Creek?
Yeah.
I know they made some progress.
Well, they're hoping to open up the bridge this summer, so end of June. However, the bridge will be open, but they are going to close Washington Road at Keg Point. Keg Creek Drive to Keg Point will then be closed, so they can do all the grading there.
That's on the other side of it.
Correct, but
Think it
can't
is.
close that section because Keg Creek Drive folks have to have access in and out, so the bridge will be done, so those folks can come
Going
back
around.
this way, but then they gotta shut the next section down, so we're still 6 months out from having any kind of full traffic.
Well, I was real pleased with the, I thought, very timely way they replaced the bridge at Scotts Ferry at Tubman Road. They even called the State Department of Transportation and thanked them. They said, wait a minute, you need to talk to my supervisor. We hadn't gotten a call like this in
They did a
years.
beautiful job there.
Did a great job. So that, at least, people don't have as far to go. And then Little River Bridge is still gonna be open to traffic.
Correct, that's correct.
I think it'll be open before Keg Creek will. The way they're going, you'll be driving on the big bridge before you drive on Keg Creek.
Well, I don't know whose district that is, but he probably ought to.
Well, I am getting some calls from the folks on Keg Creek Drive that they heard the road was going to be blocked off, so when you go to the church right up at the top of the hill, it's gonna be quite a ride.
About a 7-mile detour to go half a mile.
You may wanna walk to church.
Well, that's progress. Once it's all done, people forget real quickly about the income. It's a good project, just don't move it on. Any commissioners' public comments? Good. Don't have an executive session, I don't believe.
No, sir.
So let's conclude this thing with a little bit of a caveat. Next one of these meetings won't be here, y'all. Be up in Columbia County Courthouse in Appling, May the 24th, 8:30 a.m. So look forward to seeing y'all there next month. Have a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion?
Second?
Stand adjourned.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Can we be ready for 9 o'clock? Ooh, boy, that's close. How about 9:02?
It'll be closed.
Do that, you can have her letter, and then make sure you have our policy there, just in case.
I'd like to call to order Community and Emergency Services Committee for April 26th. Already having the invitation and the pledge. We have a quorum. One has had a look at the previous minutes. We're okay with those changes?
I move for approval.
Second.
Additions to the agenda?
Yes, sir, we have one item that we need to add. It'll be I2E1A, and it'll be a professional services contract with Craig Golden Davis to build the Columbia County Cultural Arts Center.
On the consent.
Actually, Mr. Chairman, I would like to correct that. They're not building the Cultural Arts Center. They're doing the design.
The design,
We don't want people to think we're starting construction on that tomorrow.
we'll need to change that.
And I don't know if this would be the appropriate time, but I noticed the wording in the background, just to clarify. The first sentence concludes with support many functions and a multipurpose / museum component. That's near and dear to my heart, that we have display space and celebrate cultural history. So many historical things for Columbia County, but make sure everybody knows that's what the voters approved, and it will. And then, thank you.
Paid agenda, new business.
Thank you. The first item is for renewal of the contract with the Convention and Visitors Bureau. I believe this is the last remaining one-year option. And of course, they're funded by 40% of the hotel motel tax. Staff recommends approval of renewal of the contract.
Move for consent with a comment.
Second.
I said it before, I just want to congratulate the CVB that had last week. They had tourism writers visit the county. They visited across and traveled throughout the county. My conversation with them was very impressed, very complimentary, very interested. History of Columbia County and also the growth. People are from all over the United States, plus I think there was Canada. And they'll be going back to their homes. We hope writing articles about Columbia County that will promote tourism, like those dollars.
Yes, and there's the ASA archery event is setting up at Wildwood this week. It is happening this weekend. We're expecting 1,800 archers.
Wow.
I believe that's in town. So,
Great, a lot of good things going on. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, so that'll,
next item is for a donation to Animal Services from Faye Facey for $100.
Move for consent with a question.
Second.
Mr. Driver, I probably should know this, but I don't. Is this required every time somebody makes a donation that it be brought before committee? Is it not something that could be handled differently? I mean, I don't mind bringing attention to the donor, and just
The policy was to make sure the donation was appropriate according to the standards of the county. You might have somebody that wants to donate something that would be for a radical group or something of that nature. It's the same thing we have on memorials. You go to the memorial committee to make sure it's a suitable thing for the county. Wouldn't want certain things that have a memorial in the park or
Right.
other places that would not be appropriate for the citizens. So that's kind of the reasoning behind it.
I agree, that makes sense. Thank you.
move that to consent.
Next item is for an agreement with Augusta Outdoor for kayak rental service at Riverside Park and Betty's Branch. They've put together a very nice proposal for us to look at, which includes a prefabricated building on site, which they'll rent kayaks and I believe stand-up paddle boards, including staffing it for several hours during the busy season and even in the off-season, as well as 5% of gross sales paid towards the county. So this is a good addition to the park, a good service, I think, for the park users, a little additional revenue and an ability to support local small business as well. So staff recommends to approve the agreement.
On this, they have their prices listed. Do
Yes.
they need to come back before us if they decide that they need to change pricing, or do they have the freedoms to do that, or?
They have the freedom to do that. I don't think we wrote that in the contract to where we would overlook that, but I think that if we objected to what they were charging, that they would listen to us and adjust. I don't know if that's needed.
So either way, we got 5% or whatever they charge.
Right, right.
Might need a raise there, huh?
Maybe they'll go up. I move for consent.
I'll second that.
We don't have this service at that location currently, do we?
We don't. I think I know it's being done unofficially by several different individuals. So we were actually approached by 3 or 4 wanting to do this. So we asked all of them for proposals, and this is really the only one that came back. So this will give them exclusive rights.
And something similar is going on at Sniper Rapids Pavilion.
That's correct. That's correct.
In a couple of 3 years, it's been very successful.
Right, and we're even looking into possibly doing something at Wildwood in the future too, that's similar. Betty's Branch, if you haven't been on a Saturday afternoon recently, it's just exploded, especially with kayakers. I know some of the fishermen don't like it very much, but it's really getting a lot of use out there, and I think this will be a good addition.
From the traffic, apparently at Savannah Rapids, they let you get the kayak and drop it off somewhere downstream, and they pick it up and bring it back. Will this have the same service?
I don't think so, because I think you'll just loop around
The
and
loop.
bring it back. I don't think there's any sort of pickup service with this.
Tell the fishermen the fishing's better up, it's deep up anyway.
So is this weekend the big deal at Betty's?
Vendor Dinker?
Yes.
Yes, yes. A lot going on in the county this weekend.
So they won't be able to be there. That would.
No, I think the Bender Dinker organization uses somebody else.
Okay.
They also rent kayaks. So
How will that happen, like next year, if this is extended and when the ended
well, I think the Bender Dinker will need to use this vendor.
at that time?
Mhm.
Okay. Thank you very much.
All right, the next item, the item that we added, and this item is for awarding a professional services contract to Craig Golden Davis to design the Columbia County Cultural Arts Center at a rate of 6.5% of the total construction cost.
Move for consent.
Second with a question.
Okay.
Have they done any other work for the county?
They've actually, I don't know previous work.
They did the library, they did the Harlem Library.
Very good.
They
Oh, that's right.
very well established.
They are doing the Harlem Library.
Okay.
Move that on to consent. Next, Ms. Tucker?
Thank you. Just a couple of staff updates. Next week, our Mobile Command Unit Communication Center will be going up to Stone Mountain for the annual GEMA statewide communication vehicle exercise, where all of these will test the interoperability. You know, we got a grant last year. We just got approved for another grant for upgrading our technology unit with communications. So this will be a really good test of interoperability. How well do we communicate from these units across borders, across the state, which could be critical in a major disaster that affects many counties. The only cost to the county will be about $270. They pay all the hotel, and it's the 2nd through the 6th. It's all week.
We have one, Rusty will be going up with our volunteer team. They all volunteer their time, get time off work to go. These are communication specialists, so it's really good training for them as well. So we're excited to be represented. You see in the picture on the bottom, the whole team picked our unit to set up for this exercise. So we're very proud. You don't constantly upgrade it and maintain it, and we do that. Then they get, just like anything else, outdated. So we're very proud. And this unit, I don't know if you know this, Richardson, but this was purchased by Homeland Security grant. It didn't cost the county anything. This was just provided to us, about $500,000 worth of communications unit. So we're happy for them to go represent the county. And then the next is just to give you a 3-year look. Every year for 17 years, we've applied for and received grants. We are very, much attuned to the fact that grants need to supplement the budget for a lot of the purchases. So we watch, and when those come available, we ask for them. So this is just a quick look at what we've been able to acquire for the county just in the last 3 years. And that we will continue to apply for these grants for these the MOC, hazardous materials preparedness, the different functions.
Thank you for staying on top of that and are available, getting the required information in on a timely basis so we can.
Thank you.
Mr. Chief, next.
All right, for your information, we put in the year-to-date as a 4/18 incident summary report. Starting off to be a pretty busy year. I guess we can already see the influx of people coming into Columbia County is picking up our business, and if you'll look at the next tab, this is what we've done for the month of March, 455 calls. And also for your information, I've inserted the budget report as where we about need to be. Gonna come out good on the budget.
Mr. Chief, I want to thank you, thank your department for the job that they're doing out there. Fires, I've been contacted a couple of times on structure fires. That what a fine job y'all did when you got there. You were conscientious of things around you and not damaging stuff, and just what a fine job that y'all are doing. Get there in a situation that really have to be moving and quick and to take care of everything the way y'all doing it. Wonderful news.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I will blow our horn a little bit. Those guys out there on those fire trucks are the best of the best.
Hearing it.
I echo that. Mr. Chairman, I got a call concerning the fire out off Con Drive there at Sumter Landing from the neighbors of that propane tank explosion. Was very complimentary of the department. I believe you're in the middle of your boot drive, too?
Yes, sir, we're in the middle of the boot drive. We have 3 more days to go. It'll be this Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. So far, we've collected $29,955, and as you know, it started raining sometime in between 3 and 4 on Thursday, and that just sort of killed it. We had hoped to be at about 35, but keep in mind, none of the changes have been counted yet. But we're hoping to do better this weekend.
Service.
I'm sorry, Mr. Driver, I skipped over you. Were there any legal matters? Any other commissioner or public comments?
Well, good to see Mr. Russell Wilder here again. He's about the only one other than staff, I think, that hung around, so.
Well, if nobody has anything else to add, we'll adjourn at 9:16.
So moved.
Second.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You must have somewhere to be.
Well,
Have such a
I knew y'all wasn't going to argue with